Hey guys, this is Alex Ramsey. I'm here today to do a special Indy spotlight on a comic by Justin Cristelli called Red Knight, published by Primal Papers, and with art by J.C. Grande. Now, a lot of you probably don't know what Red Knight is, or if you do, it's very independent. It's one of those indie comics. Not like Image, basically Image isn't really indie anymore, or it is still independent, but it's become one of the big three almost. This is really indie sort of thing. Before hearing about Red Knight, never heard of Primal Paper. I think I've heard of Willpower before, which is one of their other characters that's in their whole publishing company. But I knew Justin from his channel on YouTube, The Real Manos, where he did comic book reviews, and I had talked to him a few times before doing this, and also read some of his other stories. One of them was a horror story called Ladybug, which was pretty freaky. And I was happy to see that, and he told me this, that his comics and the horror that he wrote are two completely different things. I could definitely tell, they're opposite. His voice for just like superheroes is way different than his horror story sort of voice, which it should be that way. And I really enjoyed this. It's black and white on the inside. Again, it's an indie comic, so that's sort of to be expected. The art is very interesting. It's sort of got a sort of sketchy quality to it, but it's almost like it's not super detailed like most of the time the sketchy stuff, sketchy art is. It's sort of sketchy, but also sort of minimalistic in its details. It's very interesting. Also, the cover rocks. I'm just going to go ahead and say that the cover's awesome. It's got, I'll put a picture up in this review. It's got just this really cool picture of Red Knight just sort of standing with his fist clenched like he's about ready to just knock out a bunch of bad guys, which is really cool. One of the things I liked about this is right away we basically get whose main character, his name is Todd, who he is in the first few panels. Through a flashback we learn his character and who he is, his motivations right away. It just sort of throws us into this world, which really works. And also the whole superhero as a concept thing is very different here. It's sort of kind of like the government sort of controls the superheroes, which has been done before, but this is sort of different. They sort of sponsor them like companies would sponsor maybe a race car or something, or how different advertising businesses sponsor different football teams, stuff like that. That's very interesting. I don't think I've seen that particular way. A superhero being handled that particular way anywhere else. So I found that really cool. I think in this we deal a lot more with gangs, but they're not just your normal stereotypical gangs, or that kind of are at first, but they have superpowers, and that's due to this drug they have called, I think it's Bang or Bam or something, which I thought was really cool just as a concept, a drug that could give the gangsters powers, which sort of explains how we get supervillains later on down the line, or could explain that. I think that overall this is a really good book, and I want to get the second issue. It's filled with classic superhero tropes. There's this one scene in particular where the bad guy, his name's Brick, he's about to start, Red Knight is about to start fighting him, and he's with the undercover cop, and Brick picks up a car and throws it into the side of a building, and this family's in trouble. They need his help, and he has to choose between either saving the family or fighting the villain, which he chooses to save the family. Also, Red Knight's very different from your normal superhero. He's it says like the tagline of this is he's very optimistic in a cynical world. But he's almost optimistic and just sort of lighthearted. Not to the point of being naive, but you can tell he's sort of wet behind the ears, like he's just starting this whole thing out, and he's clearly just sort of hitting the ground running, like he's just sort of learning as he goes. He hasn't really been at this a long time, so he's not cynical or anything, which works. There's a lot of funny stuff in here too. Like one scene that cracked me up towards the beginning is when, after we transition from the flashback, one of the superheroes, I think her name is like Burnout or something, I could be wrong about that, is let me look. Her name is Fireball, sorry. Is calling him Todd while he's in costume, and he just sort of stands there for a second, aggravated, and then says, "Don't call me by that name, I'm in my superhero outfit," which I thought was really funny. It's like, don't call me that. Because that's very realistic. I think that if superheroes were real and they were like these guys, that there could be a chance that one time you'd slip up, so they address that and say, look, don't call me Todd out there, call me by my superhero name, because they're doing dangerous stuff and going up against gangs, which that doesn't really seem to hit Red Knight. He just sort of thinks it's all fun and thinks everything he's doing is a blast, which I think is really funny and kind of cool. Like when they said, "Ooh, they can be like," he says, they can be, the people they're going up against can be like our new supervillains or something, which I think is really cool. The town it's set in is also the same place where Justin lives. It's Norfolk, Virginia, and I think that's very interesting because it seems like in this, or it's actually stated that this town is sort of where, after the villains get beat up really bad, they sort of go here to sort of just recoup and sort of rethink their whole thing, make a new plan, which I think is really cool. This town is just sort of like one of those really small towns, which I think is interesting. You don't really see that a lot or really ever in superhero stories. Usually whenever a superhero's in a story, they're usually in a very big town. It's usually not a small town, which I thought was interesting. It's never really been done, so it was really cool and fresh. There's many other funny scenes in here too. Red Knight has a really funny scene where bad stuff starts happening. He says, "Oh, poopy," and then he says it, "Oh, double poopy," because like something else bad happens. Just silly stuff like that I thought was really funny. I also like I'm gonna wrap this up really quick. I also like the cliffhanger ending where the big fight is about to start. I mean, they've been fighting with Brick, and the police have been shooting at them, and they've been shooting at the police in the bar, but you can tell the big fight's about to go down, and it just sort of ends there, and we'll conclude in the next one. I like that, ending on a fight, ending on a really strong note. That sort of pulls you in and makes you want to read the next one, which I thought was really effective. I really enjoyed this. I advise you guys out there that are looking for something new out there, something different. That's the deal with superheroes. You might want to pick this up. If you just like superheroes in general and just want to read something new that's not like all the mainline DC or Marvel stuff, pick this up. One more thing if you do buy it directly from him, he autographs it, which is pretty cool. And also he has a little thing in the back about how he had been trying to get this thing off the ground for a while, which is very common among writers. That happens a lot. Like, for instance, when Superman creators Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster originally wanted to make that happen, a lot of people said no, which is surprising. It really, if you want to get into comics, you're going to have to go through probably like a lot of rejections before you finally get that big break. So I thought that was pretty cool, having a little behind the scenes in the back of there, and I really enjoyed this. So you out there that are interested in this, I'll post the link below. And Justin, if you're watching this, great job. Keep it up. I can't wait to read the next few issues. And also, there's a little sort of plush toy that Lindsay, I think it's his wife, makes, that's like Red Knight, and it's so like little and cute, but it's also really cool looking. So I didn't find it on the page, but Justin, I'll probably message you about it, or if not, if you're listening to this right now, message me about it, and I just want to know how I can get my hands on that, because that's really cool looking. So yeah, I guess that's about it. I really enjoyed this. If I were to rate it, I'd probably give it out of 5. I'd probably give it like a 4.5 out of 5, which means it was really good. I really enjoyed it. And Justin, keep up the good work. Alright guys, that's about it. Also, sort of just like PS sort of thing I forgot to mention, Justin, if you're listening to this right now, since Red Knight is sort of based on chess, maybe, since I haven't seen from what I've read or any of the pictures that you've done any chess-related supervillains, maybe you could do something like have like his next enemy goes up against, sort of adopt that theme, sort of be maybe like the Red King or something, be like a sort of like a chess-related bad guy, just sort of go along with the whole Red Knight thing. Just sort of take it or leave it. I thought that might be kind of cool to do. If you have other plans in mind, or if you don't like that, it's cool. It's just something that popped in my head. Okay, that's it. Just wanted to say that. Okay, bye.